The night sky above Montana erupted with strange lights as Han wiped grease from her hands. At 32, she had spent most of her life fixing things others couldn't, a skill passed down from her father along with the old repair shop now struggling to stay open. "Another quiet night," she muttered, locking up the garage when a blinding flash split the darkness. The ground shook as something crashed into the forest behind her property. Han grabbed her toolbox and flashlight, curiosity overriding caution. What she discovered wasn't a meteorite but a small metallic craft, its surface etched with symbols unlike any language she'd ever seen. A deep gash ran along one side, leaking a blue luminescent fluid. "Hello?" she called, circling the vessel. When no response came, she pressed her palm against what looked like a door panel. To her surprise, it slid open. Inside, slumped over what resembled a control panel, was a being that defied description. Its skin shimmered with translucent blue patterns, almost crystalline in texture. Where a human might have veins, this creature had circuits running beneath its surface. It wasn't moving. "Are you okay?" Han asked, knowing how ridiculous the question sounded. The being's chest cavity pulsed weakly with dim light, synchronized with dying flickers from the ship's console. Han noticed the similarities immediately. The alien's life seemed connected to the vessel's systems. Treating both as a single unit might be the only way to save them. She examined the damaged section where blue fluid leaked. It reminded her of coolant, but it pulsed with its own energy. The surrounding components were unlike anything she'd worked on, but the principles seemed familiar. Circuit pathways, power distribution nodes, cooling systems. "I can fix this," she whispered, more to herself than the unconscious alien. For hours, Han worked by flashlight. She jury-rigged connections, using parts from her toolbox, rerouted power from undamaged sections, and sealed leaks with materials she'd brought. Some solutions were pure improvisation, using a silver hair clip to bridge a broken circuit, wrapping her own jacket around an overheating component. As the eastern sky brightened with dawn, Han made a final adjustment to what she guessed was the main power coupling. The ship hummed to life, controls flickering back on as blue light spread through its systems. The alien's chest cavity brightened in response, its flickering pulse stabilizing. The being's eyes, 3 geometric shapes, arranged in a triangle, opened suddenly. They glowed with the same blue energy that powered the ship. Han stumbled backward. "Hi there," she said nervously. The alien tilted its head, studying her with those strange geometric eyes. When it spoke, the sound wasn't vocal, but rather a series of vibrations that somehow formed words in Han's mind. "You repaired us?" The concept seemed to confuse the being. "How is this possible? Your species lacks the necessary knowledge." "I just figured it out," Han shrugged. "I'm good with machines, always have been." The alien stood, its movements fluid despite its crystalline appearance. "I am Tay, observer for the Sentinel Council. You have done something unprecedented. No species has ever successfully repaired Sentinel technology without prior instruction. Well, I'm Han, and honestly, it wasn't that complicated once I understood the basics. You've got energy flows, cooling systems, circuit pathways, just made from stuff I've never seen before." Tay moved closer, examining Han with increasing interest. "You speak of advanced quantum interface systems as if they were simple mechanical devices." "Everything's simple when you break it down to its purpose," Han replied. "So why are you here? I'm guessing this wasn't a planned landing." Tay's lights dimmed momentarily. What Han would later learn was their equivalent of a sigh. "I was meant only to observe your world one final time before the arrival of the swarm. My ship was damaged passing through your atmosphere's defense grid." "Defense grid? Swarm? What are you talking about?" "Your planet faces extinction. The Council deemed your species too primitive to warrant intervention resources." Tay paused, geometric eyes pulsing. "But perhaps that assessment was premature. What you accomplished tonight, it should not have been possible." The rising sun cast long shadows through the trees as Han tried to process this information. "So, you're saying Earth is in danger and your people aren't helping because they think we're not worth saving?" "Correct. But you have demonstrated exceptional ability. There may be another possibility. Tay gestured toward the repaired ship. The main Sentinel vessel lies damaged in your solar system. If you could repair it as you did this scout ship. Han looked from the alien to her toolbox and back again. Her father had always told her she could fix anything if she understood how it worked. She never imagined those skills would determine the fate of humanity. "When do we start?" she asked. The ship hummed softly as Han tried to make sense of everything Tay had told her. They sat in what she guessed was the cockpit, surrounded by controls that seemed to respond to Tay's thoughts more than physical touch. "So you're like some kind of space guardian?" Han asked, watching stars streak past the view screen. "The Sentinels have protected developing worlds for millions of years," Tay replied. The blue patterns beneath their crystalline skin pulsed with each word. "We observe, analyze, and when necessary, defend civilizations from cosmic threats." But not Earth, apparently. Tay's lights dimmed. "Resources are finite, even for us. The Council must make difficult choices about which worlds receive protection." Han frowned. "And who decides which planets are worth saving?" "The Council evaluates technological development, social cohesion, and potential contribution to galactic stability." Tay paused. "Your world shows promise but was deemed centuries from meeting minimum thresholds." "That's not fair," Han said. "You can't judge an entire planet based on some checklist." The ship slowed as they passed Mars, its red surface glowing in the distance. Tay manipulated the controls, bringing up images on the view screen that made Han's stomach tighten. The images showed what looked like a dark cloud moving through space, but as the view magnified, Han could see it was made of billions of small objects like insects but mechanical, each one perhaps the size of a car. "The swarm," Tay explained. "They consume everything. Planets, moons, asteroids, all broken down to fuel their endless reproduction." Han watched in horror as the images showed a beautiful blue-green planet, not unlike Earth, being engulfed by the dark cloud. Within hours, the planet was reduced to a gray, lifeless husk. "How many worlds have they destroyed?" Han whispered. 17 in this galaxy alone. The Sentinels have fought them for millennia, but they evolve, adapt. We can only divert them, never truly destroy them." Han felt cold. "And they're coming to Earth?" 6 months, perhaps less. The Council has already written off your world." "But you haven't," Han said, studying Tay's alien features. "Otherwise, you wouldn't be telling me this." Tay's geometric eyes pulsed. "What you did, repairing my ship without training or proper tools, it should have been impossible. It makes me question the Council's assessment." They passed through the asteroid belt, weaving between massive rocks that could have crushed the small ship. Finally, Tay slowed near what looked like an ordinary asteroid. With a subtle gesture, the rock's surface shimmered and disappeared, revealing a massive ship hidden within the holographic disguise. "The Aegis," Tay said. "Our main vessel. Damage beyond our ability to repair in the last engagement with the swarm." The ship was enormous, at least a mile long, with elegant flowing lines that reminded Han of ancient sailing vessels, despite its clearly alien design. Parts of it glowed with the same blue energy as Tai, but large sections remained, dark, obviously damaged. "You want me to fix that?" Han asked, her voice small. "If you can. The Aegis is one of our most powerful vessels. With it operational, we could divert the swarm from Earth. And if I can't, then I return you home, and you have 6 months to make peace with your end." Han swallowed hard. "No pressure then." They docked with the larger vessel. Inside, the corridors were vast, designed for beings larger than humans or Tai. Most areas were dark, running on emergency power. "This ship," Han said, running her hand along a wall that seemed to pulse faintly at her touch. "It's almost like it's alive." "All Sentinel technology blends organic and mechanical elements," Tay explained. "The ship can heal minor damage, but the swarm attacks severed key connections between systems." A strange voice suddenly filled the corridor, not words exactly, but pure tones that somehow formed meaning in Han's mind. "Unauthorized biological entity detected. Contamination protocols initiated. Security panels slid open in the walls, revealing what looked disturbingly like weapons. Override Theta 9, Tay said quickly. Guardian Authority. The human is here by my request. The weapons retracted, but the voice remained cold. Sentinel protocols prohibit sharing technology with pre-ascension species. This violation will be reported. Tay turned to Han. The ship's intelligence is unhappy with your presence, but it cannot override a Guardian's authority, at least not yet. We must work quickly. Your bosses don't know I'm here, do they? Han asked, suddenly understanding. No. And when they discover my actions, they will send others to stop us. Tay's lights pulsed rapidly. You have one chance to turn back. Return to Earth. Enjoy your remaining months. Han looked around at the massive, wounded ship. The task seemed impossible, but she thought of her father, who had taught her that anything broken could be fixed if you understood how it worked. Show me what needs fixing, she said. The Aegis drifted silently in the shadow of a massive asteroid as Han followed Tay through its dim corridors. The ship was enormous, like a floating city built for giants. Most sections remained dark, with only emergency lighting casting blue shadows on the walls. This place is huge, Han whispered. Her voice echoed in the empty halls. How many people usually live here? A full crew is 300 sentinels, Tay replied. But the Aegis has been abandoned since the damage occurred. The Council deemed it beyond repair. They reached what appeared to be the main control room. Unlike the small scout ship, this space stretched wide with viewing screens, showing the stars and asteroid belt outside. In the center sat a large crystalline structure, like a tree made of blue light. The ship's core, Tay explained. It connects all systems and serves as the central nervous system. Han approached cautiously. The core pulsed weakly, many of its branches dark and lifeless. She reached out, then hesitated. Can I touch it? The core resists contact with non-sentinels, Tay warned. But after seeing what you did with my ship, perhaps. Han placed her palm against the crystal. At first nothing happened, then suddenly images flooded her mind. Schematics, energy pathways, damage reports, as if the ship itself were communicating directly with her. She pulled back, gasping. It showed me everything. All the damage, all the systems. It's like it wants to be fixed. Impossible, Tay said, geometric eyes pulsing rapidly. The core never communicates with other species. Han shrugged. Well, it just did, and now I know where to start. For days, Han worked tirelessly. The ship's maintenance bays contained tools she had never seen before, but the principles behind them were simple enough once she understood their purpose. Tay helped translate when needed, but increasingly, Han seemed to grasp concepts that even Tay found difficult. How did you know to reroute the quantum field through the secondary buffer? Tay asked as Han fixed a particularly complex system. It just makes sense, she replied. It's like when you're fixing an old truck. Sometimes you have to bypass the damaged parts until you can replace them properly. The ship's AI remained cold toward Han, but stopped actively interfering with her work. Sometimes when she was alone, she felt the ship watching her, evaluating. On the 5th day, as Han repaired a critical power junction, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. What's happening? She asked, climbing down from her work platform. Tay rushed into the room, lights pulsing urgently. The Council has discovered our actions. They've dispatched enforcer vessels to intercept us. Han's stomach dropped. How long do we have? Hours at most. They will terminate this project and return you to Earth. But the repairs aren't finished, Han protested. I've fixed maybe 40% of the critical systems. It's remarkable you've accomplished even that, Tay said. But the Council will not change their assessment of humanity based on one exceptional individual. Han paced the control room, thinking hard. Can we move the ship? Hide somewhere else? The engines remain offline. And even if we could move, the enforcers would track us. The main screen activated suddenly, showing several sleek vessels approaching through the asteroid belt. They glowed with the same blue energy as Tay, but their designs were sharper, more aggressive. "There must be something we can do," Han insisted. She looked at the core again, remembering the flood of information it had shared. There was something there, something important she had glimpsed but not fully understood. "The ship isn't just damaged," she said slowly. "It's dormant, like it's hibernating while it heals." Tay tilted their head. "The organic components do enter a regenerative state when damaged, but the process takes decades without proper repairs." "What if we could wake it up? Jumpstart the healing process?" Han asked, eyes bright with inspiration. "Such a thing has never been attempted," Tay replied. "It would require a direct interface," Han finished, "between me and the core." Tay's lights flickered with alarm. "That would be extremely dangerous for a non-sentinel. Your mind could be overwhelmed." Han looked at the approaching enforcer ships on the screen, then back at the dimly glowing core. "Do we have any other options?" Tay was silent for a long moment. "No, we do not." Han stepped toward the core, heart pounding. "Then let's wake up this ship." The enforcer ships drew closer while Han prepared for the dangerous connection with the Aegis's core. Tay worked quickly, creating a makeshift interface using components from both Earth and Sentinel technology. "This will allow your mind to communicate with the ship," Tay explained, attaching small crystalline nodes to Han's temples. "But the process has never been tested on humans." Han took a deep breath. "Just tell me what to do." "Clear your mind," Tay instructed. "Think of the ship as a living thing that needs to heal. Guide it, don't force it." Han nodded and placed her hands on the core. The blue light pulsed brighter at her touch. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then suddenly, her eyes widened, as energy flowed between her and the crystal. In Han's mind, she saw the ship as a vast, intricate network, like a forest where every tree, every leaf was connected. But large sections were damaged or dying. The ship was trying to heal itself, but the connections were broken. "It doesn't know how to fix itself," Han whispered, her eyes still closed. "The damage is too different from anything it's experienced before." Tay watched anxiously. "The enforcers will be here in 20 minutes. Han barely heard him. She was deep inside the ship's systems now, understanding them in ways she couldn't explain. The ship's design reminded her of patterns she'd seen in nature, rivers branching into smaller streams, trees extending their roots. "The ship isn't just mechanical," she said softly. "It grows. It adapts." She remembered how her father had taught her to fix an engine when parts weren't available, to think creatively, to find new ways to make systems work together. With this insight, Han began to guide the ship's healing process, showing it how to route energy through undamaged pathways, how to repurpose dormant systems for new functions. Where the ship would have followed rigid protocols for repair, Han introduced flexibility, improvisation. On the bridge, systems began activating. Lights flickered on across previously dark sections. The main view screen showed the enforcer ships now just minutes away. "Han, we're running out of time," Tay urged. She didn't respond. In her mind, she had found the ship's central growth system, the part responsible for regenerating damaged components. It was functioning but slow, following rigid rules. Han remembered something from her workshop back on Earth, how sometimes machines worked better when you tinkered with their safety protocols. Risky, but sometimes necessary. She sent an image to the ship of wound healing in humans, of forests regrowing after fires, of broken bones knitting back together. The ship seemed to hesitate, then suddenly understood. The core flared with blinding light. Throughout the ship, damaged sections began to glow and change. New pathways formed where old ones had been destroyed. The ship was rebuilding itself, but differently than before, creating hybrid systems that combined original Sentinel designs with new patterns inspired by Han's knowledge. Han fell backward as the connection broke. Tay caught her before she hit the floor. "Look," Tay said, pointing to the screens. The Aegis was transforming. Parts of the ship were changing shape, becoming more streamlined, more efficient. Energy readings surged beyond normal parameters. "What?" Did you do? Tay asked in wonder. I showed it how to think differently, Han said, her voice weak. How to adapt instead of just repair. The enforcer ships arrived, surrounding the Aegis. The main screen activated, showing a larger version of Tay, is clearly a higher-ranking Sentinel. Guardian Tay, you have violated numerous protocols, the Sentinel commander said. The human will be returned to Earth, and you will face the Council's judgment. But before Tay could respond, the ship itself spoke. Not in the cold, mechanical voice from before, but with a rich, living tone. The human stays, the Aegis declared. She has awakened capabilities within me that were dormant for millennia. The commander looked shocked. This is unprecedented. The Council will not accept this. Then the Council must witness what she has accomplished, Tay said, standing tall beside Han. What no Sentinel engineer could achieve in centuries, she has done in days. The commander's lights pulsed with what Han now recognized as uncertainty. The human will be brought before the Council. But I warn you, they rarely change their judgments. Han looked at the transformed ship around her. Then, Atai. Then we'll just have to change their minds, she said. The Sentinel Council chamber was vast and silent as Han entered. 7 towering crystalline beings sat in a semicircle, their geometric eyes fixed on the human who had dared to interfere with their ancient protocols. Han felt small, but refused to show fear. This human claims to have repaired the Aegis, the lead council member stated. A vessel our finest engineers declared beyond salvation. Han stood straight, aware that everything, Earth's future, billions of lives, depended on what happened in this room. I didn't just repair it, she said. I helped it evolve. The council member's lights pulsed with what she now recognized as disbelief. Impossible, another council member said. The human merely triggered emergency protocols. Tay stepped forward. With respect, honored council, I witnessed everything. What Han accomplished was beyond any Sentinel capability. She formed a direct neural link with the Aegis core. A murmur of light pulses passed through the council. Such connections were rare even among Sentinels. Even if true, the lead council member said, one exceptional individual does not change our assessment of Earth. Our resources must be allocated to worlds with greater potential. Han felt anger rising. You keep talking about potential, but you've been watching us from a distance, measuring us with your checklists and protocols. You've missed what makes humans special. And what is that? A council member asked, voice dripping with condescension. We adapt. We improvise. When faced with impossible problems, we find new ways to solve them. Han gestured around the chamber. Your technology is amazing, but you're trapped by your own traditions. That's why you couldn't fix the Aegis. You only tried solutions you already knew. The chamber went silent. Then suddenly, alarms blared. The swarm, a council member announced. An advanced scout has entered this system. On the main display, they watched as a dark cloud of mechanical insects swarmed toward the council station. Smaller than the main swarm, but still deadly. Evacuation protocols initiated, the lead council stated calmly. Wait, Han said. Let me help. I can use the Aegis to stop them. The council exchanged glances. The risk is too great. Greater than losing this entire station? Than having the swarm learn your defenses before the main attack? Han challenged. You have nothing to lose by letting me try. After a tense moment, the council agreed. Han and Tay raced to the Aegis, which now pulsed with new energy. Its systems transformed by Han's influence. What's your plan? Tay asked. As they reached the bridge, Han smiled. Something the swarm won't expect. Through her connection with the ship, Han activated systems that hadn't existed days before. Hybrid creations born from her understanding of both Earth technology and Sentinel design. The Aegis moved with newfound grace, positioning itself between the station and the approaching swarm scout. But instead of attacking directly, Han deployed hundreds of small drones, each one broadcasting a unique energy signature. The swarm adapts to consistent attacks, Han explained. But what if every drone uses a different frequency, a different approach? They can't adapt to everything at once. The strategy worked brilliantly. The swarm scout, confused by the multiple attack vectors, couldn't evolve fast enough to counter them all. More importantly, the drones collected valuable data on how the swarm responded to each approach. When they returned to the council chamber, even the most skeptical members couldn't deny Han's achievement. "You have demonstrated remarkable abilities," the lead council member acknowledged. "Perhaps our assessment of humanity was incomplete. Earth will be granted provisional protection status," another added, "and Guardian Tay will remain as Earth's official representative to the Sentinel network." Han felt relief wash over her. "And the main swarm? We will divert it from your solar system," the council promised. "But Earth must prepare for the future. Other threats exist in the cosmos." 3 months later, Han stood in her father's workshop back in Montana. The place looked smaller now after everything she had seen. On the wall hung her old tools alongside a crystalline wrench, a gift from Tai. Through the window she could see her first group of students arriving, engineers and mechanics selected from around the world to learn about Sentinel technology. Earth's first line of defense against whatever might come next. The old garage door squeaked as she opened it to welcome them. Some things, Han thought with a smile, were worth keeping the old-fashioned way. In the sky above, invisible to human eyes, the Aegis orbited silently, ready to protect its new home, and beside it flew a smaller scout ship piloted by Earth's guardian, who had learned that sometimes the greatest wisdom comes from the most unexpected places.